Hello, my name is Sylvester E. Chase Jr., and I am the proud and humble pastor of Wesley United Methodist Church here in the city of Austin, Texas. It has been my privilege to have been the pastor of this great historical church for 20 years. This year, 2015, is a very special year for us, for we are celebrating 150 years in being the church. Yes, 150 years we are celebrating in being a church. We are an historical church. Our theme for this year in 2015, as we celebrate 150 years, is trusting and believing in a mighty God.
Wesley, as many of you know, was the mother church of the historic West Texas Conference, which was the old African American conference.
Actually, I'm a sixth generation member of Wesley Methodist Church. Well, I found out that my great great grandfather, Newton Isaac Collins, when he came from Alabama, he joined the Wesley Methodist Church. And Mama Sadie is my great grandmother. Her name is Maddie Sadie White.
She would tell us about Wesley on the Hill and the move from Wesley on the Hill to its current location. And so we would always enjoy those stories. And it just gave you more sense of belonging.
We call her Mama Sadie White, who was one of the jewels of our church in the early days. It was she who sponsored the youth group.
She remembered as a teenager, they would walk from their house on 10th Street over there. And I just can't imagine all those hills and walking in your Sunday clothes.
Wesley United Methodist Church is a historical congregation. It is called by some Afro-Americans in this area and even in this church, the mother church.
Houston Tillerson had some of his early classes here upon its origin, as early as I think it must have been 1878, when the Methodist school for blacks left Dallas and was brought to Austin. And when it was brought to Austin, we had a church. Wesley Church was on 10th Street. You may recall people calling it Wesley on the Hill. Yes. When Sam Houston College came to Austin, many of those classes were held in the basement of our church on 10th Street. Our churches always advocated and stressed the importance of education.
Having been founded in Dallas, the school founded in Dallas and then moved to Wesley, and from there to its location in East Austin. And then, of course, later the movement and with the consolidation of Tillotson and Sam Houston to this campus, which is really the old Tillotson campus, where we are located now. So throughout that time, though, I found that there's been a rich history of relationships with people who worked here, went to church at Wesley, people who went to church at Wesley supporting the initiatives at the university. Just a long-standing relationship that goes back and forth for generations.
Wesley was historically involved in the community, and we needed to get back and give something back to the community. We were proud to have helped, along with other citizens here in the city of Austin, to have founded the Austin Area Urban League.
Wesley United Methodist Church became united when all of the Methodist churches became united, which was in 1968. Prior to that time, of course, we were part of the Methodist Episcopal Church. Then we had this dynamic young preacher who came to us, Reverend Prince Woods. Matter of fact, Pastor Woods came to us from the same church that Reverend Chase came to us from, Jacob Chapel. Outstanding young man. He and his lovely daughter came here, and I think he transformed us in a sense. It was he who initiated our anniversary observance.
I remember Reverend Woods, I remember it being very stoic, very quiet. And I remember the senior choir singing on first Sunday, and it was all very sedate.
Quiet. We had, it was just a very, quiet service. The choir sang mostly hymns from the hymn book. My kids used to say, "Mom, why you know all those songs?" I said, "That's all we sang." My mother was the organist and Daddy sang in the choir, so we used to go to choir rehearsal with them. My brothers and I sit on the front pew while they had choir rehearsal.
I joined the choir, and I think that was probably the start of my journey at Wesley. The choir was really inspirational. I enjoyed the singing and the feeling that the soloists put in.
I asked my mother one time before she passed, I said, I know it's a lot different from when we were growing up and you were on that organ bench. She said, "Yeah, music is music." She said, "It's beautiful. I love it."
That it is an integral part of the Black church because that's what we were born and raised on. I mean, that is our culture. When you think back to slavery songs, we talk about the freedom songs we do. I mean, we're doing songs like "Oh Freedom." I remember Geneva taught us that one. It's important that we instill in our children what the church was all about and why it was important to do those things.
I think it's important to keep it alive because it's where we came from.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know where you came from, you have trouble knowing where you're going or how to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
During these 150 years, we have learned a lot about ourselves, and truly our history is rich. And so I'm encouraging the church this year to really read our history, to really understand it, to know where we have come from. For a lot of times we don't know our past. And we as a church, we want to focus on our past, for it will set the stage for us to go on in the future.
I'm trusting and believing.
I can speak passionately about the church that I love so much and I've been a part of all these years.
We have heard this before and we have heard it again, and yet we remain so much a part of the problem. Please go forth and be part of the solution.
On the first Sunday, we would do Lift Every Voice and Sing. And I thought that was it just seemed to bring us together with some sort of pride.
The music, number one, has brought life back into this church.
All things can be better and improved, but the main thing is to have a quality Christian education program for children and youth.
And Wesley must have done something right, because we will have a person just come to church and say, "I heard about Wesley and I want that experience."
You're the same Jesus, yesterday, today, and forevermore. Lord, I know you will come. I know you will. 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 I'm trusting in you. Believe